and welcome to Take Two on the Storm Chasers of Hockey podcast episode 12. We tried to do this, I want to say, a week and a half ago, and halfway through, or like not even halfway through, 12 minutes into recording, it just shut down. And we called it quits from there, and here we are taking another stab at episode 12. Gino, how's it going? Any highlights from the last week?
Man, so much has happened in the league. I think we have a great episode, even though last week didn't really work out that well for us. Um, I think it really geared up for a really nice episode today. So I'm actually really excited to dive in and start talking about the league, man.
Yeah, it's been a time. Any cool like personal things or things you did? What'd you do for the fourth?
And maybe had one too many beers. I was not feeling so good on Sunday, but enjoyed a lot of fireworks. The neighborhood I live in is very active with the fireworks, so felt bad for all the dogs and stuff. But it was a lot of fun. Did you guys do anything fun for the fourth?
Yeah, we hung out. We went and hit up a couple thrift stores that were open for the day. That's something we like to do. And then we headed into the downtown area, watched some fireworks over the lake. Cannot
Oh
complain.
man.
Yeah, great weekend. Despite taking a massive L with the air conditioning going out in the apartment, but uh, we're on the way to getting that fixed. So I guess overall a good Fourth of July.
Awesome, man. Well, lots has happened since our last episode here. I would like to start by kind of touching on the Canes because, I think we got to cater to our Canes fans here.
Of course, that's
Been a
the
pretty quiet
podcast.
off season. It's been a pretty
Very.
quiet off season so far. Yeah. I know you haven't had as much of the angst, but I think we've been texting back and forth and getting a little antsy for us to do something here. And in Tulski we trust. I know in the grand scheme of things, we're gonna be fine, and I'm sure we have something in mind. But man, it's hard when you see all these other teams getting so involved and so much going down around the league, and here we are as Cup champs, and we just haven't done what feels like anything.
Yeah, we've made a couple moves. The trade for the rights to John Carlson in the draft, and then we picked up Noah Phillip, um, and then we signed the goalie. I don't know how to say his name if I'm being honest.
Who
Sachenko.
it was Sachenko, yeah.
Sachenko,
You know
yeah.
what? I, maybe it'll be good for the AHL. He's not. He honestly hasn't had that impressive of career numbers, not even down in the AHL. So, I think that's just a depth pickup for us, to be honest. And maybe we're hoping to find something in him, but
Yep.
I think that's just a little depth piece for us. And then, other than that, I was not a fan of the Carlson trade, not even up front. I was telling you, I didn't think that was a good player to add to our roster. He's just a little too old. And I mean, he's a good player, he's consistent, but like, we've got age on this team, and to me, like you kind of want to limit
That's fair.
adding too many old pieces, right? I think you run a risk when you do that, especially given like the track of performances generally, even with very good players. And then on top of that, what he was asking for seemed just a little too expensive for what we would have gotten. When in reality, I think there's quite a few pieces around the league that we could make work a lot better than. So it feels, I feel like that was kind of very untolsky esque, to be honest. That trading away a draft pick for absolutely nothing at the end of the day kind of feels like an L to me. But you know what? I respect them for trying to get something done there.
Yeah, yeah. Quick interjection. Team USA ties it up 1-1 of the World Cup. That is going
Let's
on live as
go.
we are filming this episode. Different type of hockey to watch. I like the ice one. Um, I with respect to the John Carlson move, I kind of disagree. I think it is a very Tolsky esque move, um, and like it's odd, but I think there's a line of logic that I see that makes me okay with it. It's they got a 6th round pick in the draft, man. What's more likely, the Canes being able to convince someone to come and sign 2 years with them, or developing a 6th round pick into a superstar, or like
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm okay with it at the end of the day, especially considering our pick capital. Um, but yeah, I think with respect to the Canes and roster moves, I'm not as worried about them making a big effort, go get a big name, big guy. I don't want to see them force a move if they don't necessarily have to. I really like the squad that won the cup, and if we could run it back and say, hey, let's bring everyone back, I honestly would be okay with that. But I also do recognize, and Gino, you've said this a lot, the need to like improve as everyone else is improving too, right? Not being complacent. So I just think it's interesting. The two moves that I think have to happen is you gotta figure out something with Nikishin, and then you
Definitely.
just gotta get Jesperi Kakaniemi's contract off. You gotta figure
Yeah.
out a way to get him somewhere where he can get the play time to go earn that $4 or $5 million a season for the next three
Yeah.
4 years. I think
I'm,
that's only right by him.
yeah, honestly, he signed to a pretty good contract. I mean,
Very
obviously
friendly
for the
contract.
Canes, yeah, for the Canes, it's not great, just because he really hasn't fit in our system and hasn't produced super well. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of teams out there now that I really think would actually benefit. He is a good player, and the contract, especially with the cap rising, is going to be really friendly for a couple years here. So, I would love to see us, maybe Anaheim. Anaheim might need that guy soon. So, but I would love to see him go somewhere where he's going to get some play time. And I think you're absolutely right with Nikishin. I think the Canes are kind of walking a line that I don't love, where I genuinely feel like, especially with the way we haven't been able to come to contract terms with him, that he's going to get offer sheeted, because I'm sure that a lot of teams have shown interest, and a lot of teams I think do have the space or are willing to possibly take the risk of signing him to a little bit more money than maybe he's worth right now up front. And for the Canes, that could be a tremendous amount of lost value. And we've seen that around the league here, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I kind of think that for the Canes, the priority right now is figuring out Nikishin, right? Because it's a good player, and he's young, and he has a lot of value, and that's not really something you want to just let walk off your team for nothing. So I'll be curious to see if we do some kind of sign and trade, or what the plan is, or even if we just keep him. I do like him.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but I don't know if that's a piece they're really considering keeping around, just because it didn't sound like he was too happy, being a third line guy, which I don't even understand on the Canes when players aren't happy with the line they're playing on, because we just roll all of our guys. It's
Yeah.
not a tremendous minute differential
Well,
between our
he's like getting more airtime on the power play too. Like it's
that
not
too.
like
Yeah,
his role is reduced and he's not getting his chance to shine, man. I think there were so many scoring opportunities for him over the last season, and he played such like a big role in what he did do. I think the only thing that I would say that might be a little underwhelming with him is like you're not seeing the massive hits that you were like promised when he came over from the KHL. Um, but he's like making up for it in his ability to like get points, and either
quarterback that second
create
line power
goals.
play.
Yeah, it's I I don't, but obviously, right? We're not the players. We're not in their heads. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
it could be a thing with, like, I don't think we have any other Russians on the team,
What do you mean? We
right?
have
Like,
Svechnikov, Kochikov,
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, I'm an
Michnikov.
idiot. I'm
We
an
have a
idiot.
lot of
My bad.
Russians.
We do. We do. It's just a little surprising, You never know what's playing into that, and you know, maybe it is just he wants too much money, and Kolsky doesn't like to sign bad contracts, and if they really don't think he's going to blossom into a player worth what he's asking for, or if he thinks that we have better use for that money for that role, like, I can kind of understand it. But I do think we're gonna have to see that get taken care of soon, or we really are running the risk of just losing him for nothing. Which that I think that would kind of I don't know. I wouldn't feel very good about that, to be honest.
No, you never want that to happen. Um, I oh man, the Ducks have so many 1 year contracts that Denver.
Yeah,
I was just
dude, yeah,
looking
yeah, yeah.
at.
We'll, we'll
Well,
get to that in a second. Let's talk about the trades that have gone down. I mean, there hasn't been anything super crazy ridiculous, but just kind of running it down from what we'll just go from July 1st here, right? Um, Corpusalo gets traded to the Rangers. Um, I think that's a good pickup for the Rangers. He'll definitely be behind Shesterkin, so not a bad depth piece for them. And then, whoa, I don't even remember this happening, but the Oilers get Devin Levi. Um, that's an interesting pickup for the Oilers. The Oilers have completely fixed. Oh, well, I guess I shouldn't say that yet, but it feels like they've upgraded from the goaltenders and the problems they've kind of been having over the last couple of years here with the whole Stuart Skinner situation last year and everything like that. So obviously they got Anderson from the Canes. And I think Levi and Anderson will make a decent duo for them. It's definitely better than having Skinner and net. So
yeah. I like that for Freddie. I think that's a really cool team for him to get to go play with. Um, yeah. I think
yeah, he
he'll
was
do
talking
well.
today. I don't know if you saw the interview, but he was like, "Yeah, Drysaitel and David make the whole league look silly all the time," and he's like, "At least now that only can happen in practice to me." And I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be rooting for Freddie on Edmonton, I'm sure, all season long.
He's
I'm sure this is probably his last contract, unless he has a stellar season.
yeah. I
But
could see him playing a couple more
yeah,
years. Yeah,
but
I will always have a soft spot for Freddie. I think he was the guy when I first started getting into the Canes, and there were so many times where like that stadium just was rocking around him, and it's cool. I like him. I think he's a good dude.
me
Yeah,
too.
it's cool
The
to see him be
personality,
able to. Yeah, he's just a cool
yeah,
guy. Uh,
exactly.
and for someone like that to go and have like be able to play behind a couple really prominent names, it's cool.
Yeah, and hopefully they have a run. I mean, that's definitely a playoff contention team. So, he went to a competitive team. He gets to play with some incredible talent. And, like I said, I think all Canes fans will kind of be, behind him in that. And so that's exciting for him. And, with the addition of Devin Levi behind him, like I honestly, I think that Oilers are looking a lot better in terms of their goaltending tandem this year. I guess the next team we should kind of talk about is the Sharks, who, after having a tremendous draft, also made some big moves to pay some defensemen and kind of finally answer that defensive question they've been having over the last couple years. And they pick up what was it, Nurse? They got Kesselring earlier, and then what was it, Jacob Truba,
Truba, yeah.
and that's I heard a lot of people criticizing what they were paying these guys, but the way they structured it and the length of the contracts, I think truly is going to work out really good for the Sharks because they do have a lot of young and developing talent, even on defense. They just got Verhoff, they got Sam Dickinson. And so, as those guys' the older guys' contracts kind of are up here in 2 or 3 years, those guys are going to be ready to roll and take over those top spots. And I think it's a really good move for them to bring in some veteran, solid defensemen, bring in some physicality on the back end, and I think that's something they've been missing for quite a long time. So
Yeah,
I think it's really cool that they went out and paid and really did upgrade their defense.
they made the Western Conference significantly better this offseason. I think
100%, 100%.
it's so cool to see how they've like you know really grown as an organization, and sort of timed their come up with Macklin. I think that's really cool when an organization is able to like restructure or rebuild around a player successfully. So I'm excited to see what they do. I think they could be legitimate cup contenders but with the way their roster's built. And if Macklin takes another huge step forward, I could see them being scary.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they are going to be. I think even next year. I don't even think it's like a oh they're gonna grow into that.
Oh
I think
no,
they
yeah,
are
no,
that now
yeah, that
already,
yeah.
right?
I'm saying that growth and scaling up has happened over the last couple years.
Yeah,
I think their time is now.
100%. Um, I guess speaking of the West Coast, Utah gets Trocheck, which Utah's going to be another team on the West that I think pretty young, very talented, and I think they're gonna be a really good competitor for the Sharks over there. Um, there have been some Western teams that have not been on a growing path, so to speak. But I do like Trocheck going to the Mammoth. They're a very fast, skilled young team, and to kind of have a defensively responsible 200-foot player like Vinny Trocheck kind of joining them, I think that's a really good addition for Utah.
Yeah, yeah. I think the
Who
Western
else do we
Conference
got?
all around, like especially the California teams. I think maybe the duck got hunted so that everyone else can succeed and grow.
Yeah, yeah.
The Kings have signed a couple really cool players. Corey Perry's back after spending a half a season
Dude,
with them.
dude. And they
Uh,
also got Zuccarello on an
yeah,
insanely,
yeah,
insanely friendly contract. I cannot believe they got that done for the price they got it for. And I'm almost positive the only reason they got that done was because he wanted to play with Panarin again. And like, man, that is such a huge pickup for them.
yeah,
For a team that was kind of fallen off here. The retool this year was incredible, and I didn't see it coming. I thought they were going to kind of go for the rebuild, but they've found a way to definitely push for another couple of years here and still be competitive. It'll be sad not having Kopitar there. That dude was a legend. That he was kind of the identity of the Kings to me. Him and Doughty, and back in the day, Dustin Brown. So kind of having that era of Kings phase out, and for them to kind of figure out a way to keep it polling at least for another couple years here, where the Western Conference still will be a little more competitive. I'm excited to see how that plays out.
yeah. Agreed, agreed.
And I guess that's a good transition. Let's talk about the other California team because
Oh,
we just glazed two of them.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
All
okay,
right.
go
No,
ahead.
no, no. Let's do California, and then we'll move to Canada after California.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's talk about these Ducks. These
Yep.
poor Ducks fans,
Oh
man.
my God.
A
Open season on the Ducks.
complete dismantling this offseason. For a team that was like just coming out of a rebuild as a successful, good contending team, gave the Knights trouble in the playoffs, to losing nearly your entire decor, and then the Carlson offer sheet, which is just ridiculous. They are in trouble. The Ducks are in a terrible spot right now. Um, So, for those of you who don't know, the Philadelphia Flyers extended a offer sheet to Leo Carlson for $18 million over the next, what is it, 6 years? Um,
5 or 6. It's 5 or 6.
Long term contract, really really expensive long
90
term
million
contract.
total is what it comes
Yeah,
out to be. It's
which officially makes him the highest paid player in the entire league right now. Um, and this is such a just a cocky move from the Flyers, man. It's oh man. I mean, from the Ducks' perspective, your GM really screwed your team. Uh, a player like Leo should have 100% been signed to an extension earlier in the year, in my opinion, during the season, especially having a successful, good season. There were talks in December about him signing for like 10 or 12. I can't remember. He said, yeah, absolutely. I'd sign that contract. They never did that. Then at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure the Carlson camp was pushing for like a $15 million contract. And Verbeek's like, nah, we don't want to sign that either. And here you are with an offer sheet now for $18 million, and you're just getting absolutely screwed. He had come out, what, Verbeek had come out a couple days before the offer sheet was extended and had said, oh, we'll match anything that any team throws forward. And I think they're going to eat those words. I think they look like idiots now because I don't think they were expecting someone to offer $18 million.
yeah.
it's just unreal. I mean, we
It's
haven't really seen the offer sheet used like that too much in
no,
recent
no,
history.
that was a weapon for sure.
Yeah. Uh, and I
Yeah,
mean, for like the team, for like the Flyers, I mean, it's an overpay no matter what. But the Flyers have, I'm pretty sure the Flyers are in a pretty good condition in terms of like their contracts and the players they have locked up for, at least a couple years. So I think with the cap going up and everything, they were their thought process was, well, we can afford a bad contract.
yeah,
Like, who cares when it's Leo Carlson, where it could still be a good contract here in a few years. You never know.
yeah.
Um, that for them, why not?
And
And
then
for the Ducks, who have a lot of cap space, but a lot of holes they need to fill now, it becomes a lot bigger of a problem.
they also have a few bad contracts on their hands.
They have a few horrible ones. Yeah.
Um, here, let me take a look at them. I was just going to say, like in line with the Phillies in a good spot. They just signed Tyson Forster to an 8-year deal today, as of 4 hours ago, 3 4 hours ago. So they're able to do 8-year contracts on top of that offer sheet to avoid having what they did to the Ducks done to them. It,
Yeah.
their GM is definitely
It's cooking.
showing people the power that they can be had with the offer sheet, and he is just
Yeah.
taking the Ducks to town right now.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, the Ducks got Pavel Minchikov, and I think he was projected at like 5 million for his next contract, and they ended up paying him 7 like yesterday, I think it was. And,
Well, they
and to
have
me,
to.
that signified 100%. Yeah, to me that just signifies like 1,000% that I don't think they're gonna match the Carlson contract. I think they're just taking the L on it because with him, and then you still haven't signed Cutter, who with Leo making 18, you already know Cutter's gonna want money, like
Yeah.
100%. He's gonna be asking for like probably 10. My guess is 10.
There,
Um,
I don't
and
know if
when you
it
think
was
about,
you that I was talking to about it, or another buddy of mine, but something came up of like, what if the Flyers offer sheet Cutter, you know,
oh
after
yeah,
all,
I
yeah,
said that,
that would,
or the Canes even. What if the Canes do it,
hey,
man?
I'd be okay with it. Um,
I would 100% be okay with taking Cutter. I think he was a 45 goal scorer this year. Dude's a menace on the power play. He also plays the penalty kill, I'm pretty sure.
dude,
22 years old. Like,
but
yeah,
here's the thing: they have a ton of guys up for picks. You submit an offer sheet for Cutter, submit one for Beckett, and see what fucking sticks. You know?
it would be so funny. I think Beckett's still got another 2 years on his deal, so we still got a little while before we can offer him anything. But Cutter right now, the Ducks somehow. Well, I think this is considering that they do match the Carlson contract. They got 9.9 in free agency, and when you look at the next couple of years, the guys and holes they're going to need to fill, I just don't think it's reasonable to really to sign, you know, Leo Carlson. I think you think about the Canes, right? And what the kind of the formula to success right now in the NHL is. And it's not just having a superstar top line.
No, no.
Those teams aren't making it. Like what the whole key is depth right now. And if you have an $18 million contract and then you have other contracts that are real close to 10, to me, it just doesn't make any kind of sense to limit yourself that much on a huge contract.
Yeah, yeah. I think the one thing that was encouraging coming out of the sort of sticker shock of the 18 mil, um, was you see good players like Nemec and Forster both signing like sort of deals that skew more towards the normal or more towards like the typical AAV,
Yeah.
and I think that's cool because I think those are guys that could have legitimate. I think there are guys that could have a legitimate case to say like, hey, I should be making more. Like I think
Yeah.
and they don't. They go and they take a deal that's reasonable. So I think that's good. I think that shows a little bit of the more reasonable side to the sport of hockey. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
interesting to watch.
It just sucks. Like I said, I think for the Ducks, the real thing that kind of blows here for them is that at the end of the day, you're losing a really good player, for that, or you're paying him way too much money, which limits your depth,
There's not a
or you lose
satisfying
him,
outcome.
and you no, there's not. There's really not. You're taking a big step back when in reality this season was supposed to be a step forward for them.
Yeah.
So it sucks. I would not be surprised if we see Verbeek get fired. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the GM firings happen all the time, and this is kind of a colossal mistake for a team in this kind of a position where they were pretty good last year and they had it all made, and for it to just fall apart for no reason really is just it's kind of unbelievable to me. Let's talk about one player that's not taking a team friendly deal, which we may see on the move here, not too long from now. Jason Robertson.
Oh yes. What about him?
So, for those of you who don't know, restricted free agency is Jason Robertson's a restricted free agent, and restricted free agents essentially are, available to receive offer sheets from other teams. And the power that the restriction gives to the team is it gives the current team that player is on the ability to match a contract, which is exactly what Leo Carlson's in, right? So the Ducks have the opportunity to match that contract and sign him for the same amount. Um, Jason Robertson and the Stars, though, they could not come to terms on a price, and it to me Robertson's one of those interesting cases where, like, like you said, some players know that they're worth a certain amount. And to me, Jason Robertson is one of those guys. Consistently good, consistently a 40 goal scorer, a pivotal piece to Dallas. And this is where I think we kind of see the Achilles heels of these super teams, so to speak, right? Um, we have a guy like Jason Robertson who is not willing to sign for less than he knows what he's worth.
Yeah.
And that being said, he's also not willing to take more money from a non-contender team. Um, so um, basically, with restricted free agents, when they cannot come to terms with the team that they're on, and they aren't particularly fond of the offer sheets being presented to them, the NHL has a thing called arbitration, which the teams or the players can file for, and essentially this allows a third party to come in and kind of determine the value of a player, which when you have a player who is maybe asking for too much money, this can be really valuable for a team. And generally, it provides like a 1 year bridge deal. And then after that bridge deal, they become unrestricted free agents and can go wherever they want. So in this case, I think I saw a lot of Dallas fans were really unhappy with this. And to me, the whole reason that they are is because I think they know the arbitrator is probably going in favor of Robertson in this one, which is generally not the case, but he's worth what he's asking for, especially with a cap rise. And I think if they decide on a contract that Dallas can afford, Dallas has the right to walk away from it. And when you look at Dallas's contracts, they have like if they want to match a contract of that level, they have to give up a significant piece. And I don't see them doing that. Like they can't just throw, some depth down the toilet for a little bit of extra cap space to make it work. They do have to sacrifice something big. And so to be quite honest, I feel like Robertson's going to be on the move. Um, I don't know exactly how arbitration plays into like if the team walks away from it, if that contract is still like the contract he'll have to sign no matter where he goes or how that works. But I know it eliminates his ability to sign an offer sheet. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think the window for arbitration is only like 48 hours. So we'll know in the next couple of days here what's going on with Robertson. But
I wonder why
for
no one.
Dallas, I think this is a big loss.
So can he can get an offer sheet if arbitration doesn't work out?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, okay.
Well, no, wait. If it doesn't work out, I don't know. I think because he filed for arbitration, I think he's not allowed to sign an offer sheet. But if the team walks away from that, I don't know how that works.
Interesting.
I'm not really sure. Like maybe he's if the team's like, no, we don't want to pay that after arbitration. I'm not sure if the offer sheet possibility opens back up or how that works. But maybe it's like a sign and trade situation. That might be what it is. They might have to sign him to the contract the arbitrator puts forward, and then they'll just trade him. It might be a sign and trade kind of deal. Which I mean, if you're the Stars and you don't think he's worth what he's asking for, that's probably what they do, right? They sign him, they're over in cap, and they just trade him, right? They look for the best trade they could get.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what, like, look, Dallas has what 9.7 is what they have to offer, and my guess is with arbitration, I think Robertson's going 13 or 14. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Um, and like to me, like what that they need another five really to get it done. I don't have a whole lot of players that you can get rid of for five, unless you're getting rid of multiple players. And it just seems like it just doesn't seem like a good move. Like it sucks for them. It's
Yeah.
another one of those guys that you really with these good players, you don't mess around. But like I said, this is a super team, and that's kind of the problem with these super teams is you don't really want to let go of anyone. They're all valuable, right? And when you have one player that's asking for too much of the pie, it kind of starts to affect the whole team at that point.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No. I don't know. I think the Stars are losing Robertson. If they're not, they're keeping him for 1 year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent, and he's out. That's my take.
Yep. Yeah. I
And
might.
then there were talks about. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I'm reading now about some of the history that the Canes have with offer sheeting, right? Like, of course, I knew that KK was assigned through the offer sheet, but the one that predated my Canes fandom was the one that the Canadians offered to Aho. I didn't know about that, but that's interesting. Aho is like one of our franchise players now, and to see that he was a part of some offer sheet drama is kind of interesting.
Yeah, we matched it. I think that's
Yeah.
on the current deal he's on as well. Is it's for the nine whatever. Which
No, 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 no,
honestly,
no.
oh no, it's not. It was for his previous.
Yeah, that was so they did it in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, I mean, Aho. I think we're paying Aho maybe a little too much, but we don't pay anyone that much at all. So it's not like we're paying him 18 million. And at the end of the day, I think Aho's still kind of growing as a player, still developing really well in the right direction. So,
Yeah.
if you're Tulski, I think you're pretty happy with the current Aho contract.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the offer sheets are something we haven't seen used, but I almost feel like the Leo Carlson stuff is gonna spark more offer sheet, wars, which is kind of fun. As a fan, it's a little bit fun. It's a little scary, but I think it's really fun to watch these teams kind of go after each other and have some fun with it. It's definitely entertaining to watch.
Agreed. Agreed.
And I did see some talks. Obviously Detroit is having their whole debacle right now with Dylan Larkin, right?
Yeah, that's odd
That
because
and
he
that's
that it's just been going. It was I think sort of the first domino to fall in the guys that were like, hey, I kind of want out of my current situation, and it's just, they
yeah.
have not been able to get anything done, and I think that's partly on Larkin for coming out and being like, hey, I will only accept trades to the following teams, and it was the Wild, the Panthers, and the there was one more.
Vegas.
Vegas,
Vegas
yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah,
third
yeah.
man.
The Team USA heavy like lineups, um, and it's like, do you think that maybe
I mean,
I don't know.
it's
I
definitely
just
something we've seen.
it just feels like it could be something that maybe worked against him in this sort of fight for a way out of
Yeah,
Detroit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch play out. I don't think that is the case. I mean, the Red Wings have come out and said, he's under contract. They're not going to take a trade that's not, at least as close to as even in value as they can get. And I don't think they're particularly happy with the offers they've got going the other way. However, we were just talking about Robertson, and should Dallas, you know, go to arbitration, not want to, match that contract or match it and do a sign and trade, I could totally see Larkin moving to to the Stars
Yeah,
or one for one for Robertson, right? Like the Detroit 100% has the value or the cap space, to make it work. And when you look at Larkin's contract at 8.7, that's something that the Stars can afford, and I think that's a pretty good addition. Obviously, like I don't hold Larkin in as high of a regard as Robertson, but both of those guys were. I mean, Robertson did not play for Team USA, but both of those guys were like run-ins for that team at the end of the day, right?
yeah.
And I think you're getting a pretty even value when you look at on ice performance. Maybe they bring different skill sets to the table, but you're getting a good player in return. The thing about that is, I'm not entirely sure that Robertson would be super happy playing for Detroit. He's made it pretty clear, like he wants to go to a competitive, good team, and Detroit's been they've missed a playoff for a long time now, and it's funny because they keep looking like they're gonna be a good shoe in for the playoffs, but then, you get to, March or whatever, and they just
They have
are
a breakdown.
consistently losing their spot.
Yep.
Exactly. So to me, that's a possibility. But I think it's a big risk for Detroit. Because like I said, after an arbitration deal, which is 1 year, he's an unrestricted free agent. And if they don't do well, you're just gonna lose him, right? Like you're just gonna lose Robertson. And then you lost Robertson and Larkin for nothing, right? So I think that's kind of the risk you run with that kind of trade, but it'll be interesting to see. I do think the Canes, bro, could be a landing spot for Jason Robertson. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, if we can find a way to clear um Kakaniemi off the cap, we are in a position to pay Robertson what he wants.
We
And we have a
have to
competitive
find a way
team.
to do it. There no
Yeah,
ifs,
man.
ands, or buts about it. We have to find a way to get
100%.
JK out like that.
Yeah.
Again, I will reiterate: it's only fair to everyone.
100%. Like you said, it's fair to him too. He wants to go play, but
Yeah,
like I'm saying, I genuinely believe it. If we get that contract out of there, we're at what, almost 16 mil in cap available, and without a doubt, like that's enough to cover a Jason Robertson contract this year, let alone a future contract. And when we look at our needs as a team, a goal scorer is exactly what we want, man. I feel like him, Aho, Svechnikov would be an unreal line. I think Aho and Svechnikov, while they can find the back of the net sometimes, I think they're extremely talented forwards who are more playmakers, than they are snipers at the end of the day. And I
yeah.
think
You
when
need
you
to
look at
find the
adding a
guy
40
who
goal scorer to that line,
exactly. You
yeah,
gotta find the guy whose like superpower is putting the puck in the net, and that's not
100%.
it. Like you said, it's not to discredit Aho or Svetch. It's to help build around them, and they're really good way, or they're really just sort of innate hockey IQ to put people in good positions to score. That's how you develop a first line that's like deadly, and can execute.
100%. Yeah, and I think from Robertson's perspective, he's going to the previous Stanley Cup winners. It's a competitive team who's willing to pay him, and his role on that team is not. It's very outlined for him. It's go play your style of game. Go freaking score.
Yep.
And I just, to me, like that would be a really big pickup. Like I said, I'm getting antsy for the Canes to do something. I know we've had rumors around all kinds of players, and it was really I guess calming to hear Elliot Friedman kind of say like 100% the Canes are in on some really big stuff right now, and they're working on something, right? I just wonder what that is. Hellebuck was something we had talked about a lot, and obviously he hasn't gone anywhere. It kind of seems like he's leaning towards Buffalo right now, and I don't know how that deal's looking. But I wouldn't mind picking up Hellebuck either. But if we're looking at a guy like Robertson, and we know the Stars are not going to be able to sign him or aren't going to want to sign him to this arbitration contract, I wonder if one of those things is a sign and trade for Robertson.
Yeah. Agreed.
Who else did you watched the 32 Thoughts podcast, didn't you?
I did not get a chance to.
Okay.
Um,
You
but
sent me a few of the rumors. Simone Edvinson. I guess we should touch on that real quick. To be honest, I don't think that's an upgrade in any way, shape, or form. Um, it feels like we're just putting another Nikishin on the line. To be honest, when you look at his stats and his size and his skill set, it's literally just Nikishin. It's another
what if?
Nikishin.
Hey, but what if he's a Nikishin replacement?
That's true, but like to me, he's probably going to ask for a similar like what is his expected contract? Here, let me check real quick. If he's asking for as much as Nikishin's asking for, I just don't really see a point um in picking up a player like that at the end of the day. Let's see. He's looking for like 8, which I think is exactly what Nikishin's looking for, right? Like uh I don't know. To me that just seems like it wouldn't really be a productive pickup. Like at that point I'd rather just sign Nikishin and keep Nikishin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
He's proven in the system.
but exactly, he has some practice. He's been here. He just won a cup with us. Like,
Yep.
why just replace that with another carbon copy of the same player? Pretty much,
I
it just
agree
doesn't
with
make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yep.
Um, I'm kind of sad. What Werenski came out said he's kind of committed to Columbus right now, which I guess is good. We're seeing all these players kind of um, weaseling out, trying to find ways to win. It is cool to see a really good player like that kind of have some loyalty to his team and be willing to stick it out and see if they can find something to work. But I think the big thing that really ended up, keeping him in Columbus is the fact that he has a wife and a kids and all of that. And I don't think he wants to uproot his entire, life and their entire lives
Yeah.
until that's kind of the only choice they have left. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what we end up looking at in terms of a trade here for the Canes. I think, dude, we should just send in an offer sheet for Bedard. Is what we should do. Send in a 20 million offer sheet for Bedard and trade away a center.
Fuck,
It probably wouldn't work out.
you'd probably
But
need to trade
that
away
would be
a couple
insane.
centers.
Yeah, you're probably right. And he's
Um,
got that shoulder injury, man, which he's been dealing with for like multiple years now. I kind of wonder if that's going to be something that takes away from his development, to be honest.
I don't think so.
No,
Nah.
he's pretty good, man.
He's very good at hockey. Imagine
I
if
think
he was
he'll be
on a
fun
good
to
team.
watch. Yeah. Well, that'll be fun too because like we were just kind of giving the Sharks their praise and everything. Despite not having quite as productive of an offseason, I definitely think the Blackhawks made some upgrades as well. So we might see them kind of step into a more competitive spotlight and maybe see Bedard kind of take over a little bit,
Yep.
which would be fun. I think the West Coast is really kind of like flipping on its head a little bit. Like the teams that have been good for a while are kind of tapering off now, and the teams that have kind of been going through these rebuild situations or like Utah where it's like a new team, we're kind of seeing them get a little more competitive. So I
But
think the
not
West
the
Coast is going to
Kraken.
be fun next year.
Not the Kraken.
Well, the Kraken, yeah, man, the poor Kraken. The
They
Kraken
haven't
are
been able to figure it out.
no, they haven't. The
It's
poor
honestly
Kraken.
a little strange, right? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of strategies that teams employ when it's a new team, right? When it's like a new franchise. And interestingly, like, I guess the Golden Knights were kind of interesting in their first year, where like they had picked up a bunch of guys honestly, I think they kind of fleeced the league when they came into the
Yeah,
league.
yeah,
They called them the misfits, but to be honest, they got a lot of value from a lot of teams, and that roster went on to go to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year. But I think Seattle took a different approach where they were they were taking a long term kind of approach, but I think in a way that kind of ended up hindering them pretty bad because they're in that kind of the worst place you could be in hockey where you're not the bottom of the league, but you're also not good.
yeah.
You're not making playoffs, so you're not getting any valuable draft picks.
Not getting any
Um,
valuable free agency
no,
signings. It's just odd.
no,
You
no, no.
saw you
Yeah, I
saw
mean,
Robo turn down the the contract with
dude.
them.
Well, and then last year, Panarin turned down a really big contract that they had offered him as well. And it seems like if you don't have any success to your franchise name or like a promising future, it's really hard to attract those competitive players, especially right now in an age where we're seeing all these competitive players ask out of decent teams because they want to go win. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So I think Seattle should tank this year. If I'm going to be 100% honest, this is the kind of year you want to give yourself an opportunity to get a high draft pick, right? Um, and we do know that Shane Wright has asked out now, which, to be honest, I don't know how I feel about Shane
that one
Wright. I think he has.
I think that
It's weird, man.
I've told you I don't like it. He didn't put up numbers. He didn't do
No.
anything that is like worthy of someone being like, all right, get me out of here. I'm not being used to my value here. He's a very mediocre hockey player on a very mediocre team.
Yeah, and I mean he had really high praise coming into the league. It actually that was so funny. I don't know if you know about the. Were you around? Did you watch? Were you watching when Shane Wright like got signed to his entry level contract and everything?
No.
Oh man, so it was this whole deal. He was supposed to be like generational basically, and he going up to the draft, he was talking so much crap about going first overall. He's like, "Oh, I'm going first overall. I know I'm going first overall." And he did not go first overall. I think he ended up going like third or something like that. And Montreal was supposed to get him, and Montreal was like, "Oh no," they could just tell. I think they knew, like he just the way he was talking about his position and stuff like that. That wasn't a player that they wanted on that team. And clearly he hasn't performed. And I will say, you can't completely put that on him like with Seattle keeping him on a third line, right? With a struggling team where so you're playing with like pretty bottom level guys in the league. Um, to me, it is hard to succeed when you're not really put in a position to succeed. But still, like you said, he hasn't really gone out there and proven that he has any more to give outside of that either.
Yeah.
So, for Seattle, it, that is their young stud though. Do you know what I mean? Like when we talk about not being in this terrible place in the league where you're not getting good draft picks and you can't attract superstars, they're losing another piece that essentially is that. I think Seattle really should be looking to kind of tank for the next few years and just commit to the rebuild because it's clearly not working over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Um, it's a Seattle's a cool city. I it's a bummer. I feel like they could be a really good hockey city. So hopefully for their fans'
Branding,
sake,
bro.
yeah, and for the dude, they have some of the coolest jerseys, the coolest branding in the NHL.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it if they
Their
figure it
arena's
out,
sick too. Their
yeah,
arena's like brand new, man.
if they figure it out, man, that'll be a good hockey town. So hopefully that works out for
Yeah.
them and they're able to turn this thing around. But um,
Hey,
yeah,
man. It's gonna take something. I think they really gotta play for it, if that makes sense. You look at teams like honestly, I think Calgary's gonna be great this year. Like you talked about the Nemec deal from New Jersey. Wow, what a pickup that is for them. I think that's kind of the signings that the Kraken really should be looking to make. Maybe shoot to miss the playoffs, like not on purpose. Obviously, every team wants to make it to the playoffs, but
but be okay with it if
maybe
it
don't be the
happens.
middle of the league. 100%, yeah. I think what? See, what does their cap situation look like? What do they got cooking?
Let's
They
see.
got space, man. They got space for days. Maybe they should be looking at offer sheeting a couple players, man.
That would be crazy.
Um, they got some guys locked up. Yeah, it would. They definitely
Seattle
got
just
some
gets
guys locked up.
incredibly good. Oh yeah,
Yeah, they do
they
have
have a
some
Leo
really good
Carlson's worth
contracts,
of
dude.
cap space.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, just go offer Bedard. Go offer Bedard 18, see if Chicago matches.
Yeah.
Um, they got some good contracts, man. They got some good players. Matty
The
Beniers has been awesome for them. He's locked up long term for 7 mil. I
Oh,
think
he's
that's a
so
steal.
young too.
Yeah,
23.
dude. Yeah, that's a good player.
Bobby McMahon.
Capo Caco. No, Bobby McMahon's whatever, man. Um, I, I like. I do like. Do they still have? Yep, Brandon Montour's a good one for them. He's getting old, and his contract length is a little long, to be honest. But with the cap going up, that contract's gonna look great in a few years. Um, but yeah, like they've got some potential for sure. I think it just comes down to kind of retooling, and the goaltender situation. I think also is kind of an issue there. I don't think they really have like a solid number one. I mean, I think Descartes and Grubauer kind of split the net a little bit, and to me, honestly, shoot it and go for a good goalie there. Like maybe trade both of them out, or at least one of them, and see if you can pick up something good in return. The problem is goalies are so damn hard to come across.
Yeah, yeah. That's the huge challenge. I feel like. I
Yeah,
mean, and look at like the goalie like free agency class every year. It's just like the good ones are
it's
all
awful.
locked up for long term. You
Uh huh.
know. Um,
Yeah,
and
I
then
feel
it's
like
like by the time.
goalies are really something you have to draft and
Yeah.
develop yourself,
Yeah.
or you have to be willing to pay for them. There's really only two options. Like look at Hellebuck for instance, now on possibly on the move, right? You got to wonder if teams like this are considering that. But the thing with a guy like Hellebuck is they have, you know, their trade clauses. So especially with a team like we were saying with limited success, it's really hard to attract good players like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited. Speculation time. What do you think? What do you think the Canes are cooking up? What do you think we have in store here?
I don't think we have anything huge. I think we clear even more cap space. Like I said, just making a point to get KK's contract off the books, and then figure out something with Nikishin. But then I think we're setting ourselves up to make a more of a mid-season move, um, and take advantage of there being games played and teams being in or having different outlooks on the season come the trade deadline. So I think that's where their focus is going to end up lying, whether that's what they intended or not.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the free agent class of next year, and it's not great. I mean, there's some great players on there, but really, like when you look at age, it's I think a lot of the guys are gonna. Well, I guess we'll see. Um, what Kucherov's going to be a free agent next year. I wonder if Tampa's going to look to extend him or if they start to embrace the rebuild, and maybe that kind of hinges on their success. This year they got first rounded last year. They've kind of fallen out of their prime, lightning shape from, you know, the early 2020s when they were winning cups and really being competitive, and a lot of these other guys, I honestly think are at the tail end of their career. Like, Kale McCarr is going to be a free agent. I have a hard time believing Colorado lets him go, but I suppose there is a world, especially where we're seeing guys get paid $18 million. That's going to be a $20 million contract,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And I don't think that the Avalanche necessarily, I don't think they'll have a problem signing him or finding a way to sign him, but you never know. With these big contracts, it'll be, especially with the cap rising, it'll be so much fun to kind of see, um, kind of how teams decide to build their rosters with expensive players like that. You know what I mean? Crosby's going to be a free agent, but I think he said, oh, he might. I thought he signed an extension, to be honest, but I think he'll stick around for a while longer, especially if Ovi sticks around. Did we get to talk about the Ovi re-signing?
We did not. I think
Okay.
on our last episode we talked about how the Caps are positioning themselves to make that signing, and that it was, they looked good in their attempt to do so, but I don't think that we broke it down any further than
Well,
that. But yeah, no,
well,
I
that's a
think
big
it's
one.
cool.
Yeah.
I think you
I
get the
was
retirement tour that a lot of people wanted. So yeah,
Yeah, I think it would have been a shame, honestly, if they didn't find a way to sign him.
I agree. I agree.
Like with a player of that caliber, it would have been awful if you just didn't really announce it was his last season and
Yep.
you didn't intend to sign him again. So, and he's not bad, man. I mean, he's not great. They have to use him in a really smart way. But to be honest, it kind of reminds me of like how we use Jordan Stahl. uh, you know, uh, like he's not out there. Well, I guess we use Jordan Stahl a little bit differently, but we're putting Jordan Stahl out there for very specific purposes, right? Like his face-offs and stuff like that. And you look at Ovechkin, and he's getting old. He's a little bit slower. His defensive side of his game is definitely a little bit weaker than it used to. Not that it was ever incredible, but they make sure they're if they have a defensive face-off or whatever, they normally take Ov off the ice, right?
Yeah.
And they stick him in there when they're down in the ozone, and dude does his job. He still scores goals at a pretty awesome rate, especially considering his age.
Well, yeah, and
I would love to see him get up to 1,000 goals, man.
teams know what he's gonna do. And, it's not hard to predict what he's gonna do, but he just does it. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
want to
like,
know what percentage of his goals have come from the top of the circle off a one-timer.
right.
It's got to be like 70%. And it's just like it's impossible to stop. He just floats down there somehow. No one picks him up, and even if someone's on him, he gets it and it's in the net. Is every single time, man. And I think it's super cool that we still have like him around for another year. He said maybe even two. And I don't know if you saw how his contract was structured, but I think it was like 4.5 million. But the performance bonus edition is hilarious. It's literally if he plays 10 games, he gets another 4.5 million. So that really clever from the Capitals side to kind of keep that contract low when you look at the cap, but to make sure he's getting paid and having fun. I think it'll be interesting. I think we'll know. Obviously towards the tail end of the year whether he continues to play, another extended season or if he is hanging him up, obviously. But I want to see him get to 1,000 goals, man. He's so close. I think he's like what 70 something goals away, which obviously, or is it set? It might not even be that much. He's so close to 1,000. What is he at? We gotta find out. 40 years old. Brent Burns also re-signed with the Abs.
Yep, his Iron Man
Officially the
streak.
oldest player. Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
only
he's,
gonna be
he's getting
alive.
close, man. Taking it from Phil Kessel's a little brutal, though. I love Phil Kessel, and it was cool that he had some kind of ward in the league because he wasn't that good at all. But 929 goals, man. He's 71 away, which is not a season. See, I don't know if he's got it in him, man. He's gonna get so close to 1,000 goals. He's gonna get so close.
Well, did you see that it
Um,
came out that his wife said that they'll do one or two?
yeah, yeah. That's
So
what I'm saying. I think we'll only know by towards the end of the year, and it probably hinges on how he plays. You know, at this point, I think his family's kind of behind him. He said that the reason he wants to retire is to spend more time with them, but I think his family, especially with him breaking Gretzky's record and everything, kind of recognizes the position he's in, and
well,
I
yeah,
think they want him to play as long as he can,
I
right?
yeah, I also think his family is in that position where it's that the kids are now old enough to be able to find a lot of enjoyment in their dad being Alexander Ovechkin. So I think that's cool, and
100%.
it's a lot different than having babies, where they require a lot more care, and being with both parents is a good thing. But no,
Yeah,
I think he's at such a cool stage and the kids are at an age where it's like really cool to watch. So I would love to see 2 more years from him. I think that'd be really cool.
Give him the chance to get to 1,000, man. First player to ever hit 1,000 goals. That would be unreal. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I guess to end it off here, unless there's anything you want to touch on, there's a couple good players still available on the unrestricted free agent list that I'm kind of surprised haven't gone anywhere. And I'm kind of interested to see, Anthony Mantha. It just came off a really quite a good season actually with Pittsburgh. I think it was one of his better seasons of his career, and he's not too old yet. He's definitely got another contract in him, so um, I think he'd be a good depth piece anywhere he goes. Um, and then Patrick Kane. That's the one I'm kind of interested to see what happens with Patrick Kane. Heard a couple rumblings of where he could end up. I know Toronto's kind of interested. I think I've heard a lot of rumors that Buffalo wants to bring him. That's his hometown, so that would be kind of cool. Maybe the Blackhawks try to bring him back. He was a legend there, and it would be cool to see the Blackhawks kind of go out and give him a little contract to come maybe finish up his career in Chicago.
Agreed. The one
Um,
that you had mentioned that I think would be really cool is Adam Fantilli. I think that would
oh yeah,
literally that would address one of the core like needs of the Canes. And I think the Canes, if they went and they said, hey, do you want to do like 13 million and hit them with the offer sheet? I mean, the Blue Jackets would be able to match that, but I feel like they would. I don't know. I don't know what you have to do if you're the Canes
yeah.
to get that. That would be tough because we do only have
Probably have to
9
do
mil.
Yeah, I think the thing about a guy like Adam Fantilli and Columbus is that they know that Werenski's probably going to be on the way out in a couple of years. He's made it clear that even though he's sticking out his current contract and going to try to win with the team, he does not want to re-sign with Columbus. Um, so I think a little bit harder to acquire for sure. Um, just because you don't really want to trade young core away, especially when you're losing a cornerstone piece like that.
Yeah.
So I could see it. It would probably have to be in a sign and trade, and we'd probably have to offer Columbus, some good stuff. I think it would come at the cost of a player and assets like draft picks or players we've already drafted. I think it would be a pretty. I think we'd have to overpay to get a player like that, really,
But would you?
off of Columbus. But
What about like Nikishin and 3 firsts, bro? I think that's fair.
yeah, see, no, that and that's what I'm saying. You're giving them a player and you're giving them some assets, right?
Yeah.
And that's a high cost. Like Adam Fantilli is great, but he is not that good. I mean, looking at his stats, like let's see, what are his? He's good, but I don't think he's gonna be like. I would rather have Robertson,
Oh,
or
100%.
even Elias Pettersson or whatever. Like I think there's a lot of players out there that address our needs a little better than Adam Fantilli. But his plus minus, he's all right, man. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Like
Oh
I
man.
think for that kind of overpay, you may as well just keep Nikishin.
Yep.
Um, but you know, I don't know. He would be interesting though. It would be a fun offer. I still think Cutters. Honestly, it would be so funny to double whammy Anaheim. Go extend a fat offer sheet, way overpay, maybe currently for Cutter, because he's going to be a 40 goal scorer for years to come, and he pitches in to really all over the ice. I think it would be a little bit funny to just go and like super offer Cutter too, but I think Anaheim's probably in a position now where they're like, we can't let anyone else go if we're not matching the Carlson trade. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what we have cooking.
I
I
mean the
think there's a couple, prospects that would be huge, and clearly we're cooking something up. But it's just I'm so curious to know what it is.
I think Cutter would be a really cool offer sheet. Um, the Ducks don't have a ton of cap space. Um, it's a very similar situation to the Canes, but the Canes also have like Kakniemi to work with and like getting that contract off the books. I could see a cutter
Well,
offer
and
sheet for like 14, 15 million, putting the
yeah,
Ducks in a
the other
position
thing,
where they have to let him walk.
yeah, I mean, the other kind of thing to consider with the Canes and the contracts is like obviously Kakaniemi was a scratch for us. So that's essentially just cap sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
So obviously clearing that up gives us the ability to pick up a player. But then the thing to consider is when we get that player, because we aren't trading a roster dressed player, um, it does give you the ability to trade away someone else
yeah,
that you're filling him, right? And I think that's where we get even more cap, right? So that's kind of interesting to consider too. Like if we're looking at wingers, I think we have a handful of wingers that we could consider moving off of. Um, the thing with the Canes is, we don't want to get rid of. We have a lot of things working well for us right now. Really, I think we've done a great job of identifying players who are going to come and play in the system perfectly. I think Taylor Hall's a really great example, right? He's a little bit older and was kind of tossed around the league, but we threw him on that Stankov and Blake line, and I don't want us to change that line at all.
no,
Like
no, that line's gonna
I think
rot
that's a
well
line
into
you keep
next
together
season.
now.
Yeah.
Uh huh. But at some point, you do have to address the fact that Taylor Hall's aging, right?
Oh well,
And
yeah.
so maybe,
I
yeah.
don't think that
So
that's. I don't think that
no,
is
no,
is like something that the Canes are missing. I just yeah.
no. I'm just saying like that's when you start to consider like, okay, well then who do you move off of, right? If you're bringing in a stud winger or if you're bringing in a stud center, we're gonna move off of someone, right? And it just kind of comes down to evaluating, uh, maybe not even like their effectiveness on the team now, but come in the future, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what we do, and I think that's something that's really interesting to kind of consider. I know we might disagree a little bit on this one. I still think Martinick would be the winger we move off of, just given his age and production. I know he brings a lot to the team, but I think we have a lot of players that bring a lot to the team, and when I consider the value of the other guys we have on the lines that they're on, he's the one that makes the most sense to kind of upgrade, if that makes sense, on the left hand side at least. But I think on the right hand side we're pretty stocked up, man. I mean, you got Svechnikov and Jarvis, and you're not moving off of either of them.
Dude,
Uh,
Svechnikov is still so young.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
26,
Um,
man. That is
that's
crazy.
he's in his prime, dude. He's
He's just
100% in his
entering it.
prime right
He's
now.
just entering
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Uh-huh. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah. So I
and
don't
then
know. To me,
Aho too,
Martin,
28. Like
yeah,
he still has time to develop, and
five, another 5 years at least of being like really solid, right?
yeah. So
And I think that's the beauty of the Canes is the window's there. It's a long window, um, but you just want to cut, and that kind of moves the window forward a little bit. You kind of go, okay, well now we have a championship quality roster.
yeah,
Like, let's keep it a championship quality roster, right?
yeah,
And I think like we talked about, I think that we talked about the West, getting a lot better and addressing a lot of the faults that they had last year. But I think even the East has really shaped up this year, and I think it's going to be a whole different ballpark next year. And I think if we don't do anything, especially with like the Jarvis injury, possibly being a factor in the beginning of the season and other things, I just don't think it's a good idea. Like I think you want to get something done during the off season rather than waiting to the middle of the season. I think the one advantage to waiting is that you may get some new opportunities opening up with other players, but at the end of the day, I think when you're thinking about going out there and making a statement, I think as the champions with assets, you want to do something during the off season. So I think we're on the brink of something pretty big, and I think the arbitration deals kind of coming through over the next couple days may really shine some light on maybe the direction we're trying to head, as well as like offer sheets we might want to extend to some other players that didn't file. So it'll be real interesting. I think over the next week or so we will see something come out of the Canes front office.
yeah, yeah. I I'm looking at Connor McDavid's contract.
Dude,
um,
so you have to know that's going to be likely 20 mil. unless he is just at the end of his rope and he's like, I gotta win a cup, man. If he's in that mode by the time he's leaving Edmonton and he does not want to re-sign with Edmonton, like I could see him taking a pretty friendly deal to just be like, put me on a team that's gonna freaking win. Like
Yeah.
I don't even care. And the thing is,
But that's
when
what
he
I'm
signed his
saying,
contract, the cap
though.
was so low, man.
Dude,
Yeah,
what I'm saying, though, is the Canes could make a mid-season move for someone like that and give him, like, having Connor McDavid for 2 seasons at $12.5 million would be crazy. And, I think Edmonton is going to be like a ticking time bomb when it comes to Babcock blowing up and Connor McDavid. And I don't know. I don't know.
I totally. I think. I honestly, I believe he will be in Edmonton at least for this year. But I think it kind of depending on their performance and outlook beyond that. I do honestly believe that if it's not good this year, I do think he'll stick with the team this year regardless. But that next year, that becomes a massive option for us. But with the cap going up almost, you could argue that as long as we keep like 3 or 4 million in reserve for something like that, and we sign a big player this year, there's a possibility that we do both,
Yeah.
right? And that could be an extreme like that. Then, man, what do you even do though? Our lineups look so weird. Then, Aho goes down. Maybe you get rid of Hall and you put Stankoven back on the wing, and you have Aho be center for Stankoven and Blake, and then you put McDavid alongside like Robo if we got him and Svechnikov or something like that, and then Ehlers plays down with Stahl and whoever. Yeah, that would be pretty gross. That
Yeah.
that would be an awesome lineup. That's like some fantasy lineup right there. That would be insane.
Oh man, I cannot wait.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to touch on, given the crazy last couple of weeks we've had here in the NHL?
I don't think so. I think I'm all good. I guess like the only other contract that we didn't really talk about that got sort of put out there was Dovich. He earned his bag, um, and I think that's pretty cool. He got the 3x5 deal. Um,
Yeah, I think
well
we should give
deserved.
Montreal a lot of flowers, man, because Demidov got signed to an extremely friendly deal too, and to me, like a super young Hurricanes team where like these contracts they're signing long term are excellent.
Yeah,
They're so good. Um, and to me, like that is a team that even like during the playoffs last year, I said this is going to be one of the Canes' toughest competitors for the next, for the foreseeable future, really. And I think aside from their roster, the coach, everything, I think they've got it really cooking. I think Marty San Luis a fantastic coach. He reminds me a lot of Rod. He's a player coach. He's a guy that's spent time in the league and knows what it takes to win. And he was a hard worker when he was in the league, extremely talented. And I think him and Rod have a profound level of respect for each other that not a lot of coaches do in the league. And to me, that team feels like it's going to be a very hard team to beat over the next, few years. And like I said, I think the East is just leveling up too. I think you look at Florida, right? They've made some insane moves. They're in win now mode. They're so screwed. They're gonna be so bad in a couple years, but at least for the time being, they're probably going to be pretty hard to beat. I think Buffalo's looking really good too. Ottawa, despite having a little bit of a setback with Kachuk, I think they're still going to be pretty good. Philly's looking really good, especially if they get Leo Carlson right. So it'll be interesting. I think the East is going to be a lot harder than it was last year too. But I think Montreal is really kind of setting a great example and kind of following the Canes recipe of finding a way to sign these players at really good contracts so they can really like set up depth, for the future.
yeah, I agree. All
Yeah.
right.
So I guess with that, guys, we leave you off. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things happening here over the next week. What was that USA score, Sandro? You got that USA score? Did we win?
No, it's not looking good. We are down 1-3. The last goal for Belgium was a bit of a doozy. Had a goalkeeping blunder. He sort of misplayed the ball and left his home and got punished for it.
And even with that red card magic, it looks like our dreams are coming to an end here.
Oh, man, yeah.
But no, we'll leave it at that, guys. And next week we'll do a recap of any kind of signings or the arbitration contracts we see coming in. Maybe we'll have some more speculation talk in terms of moves or things that other teams are looking at or the Canes are looking at. And yeah, Sandro, take us out.
Yep. Not much more to add to what Gino said. Just, as always, go ahead and interact with us, like, follow, subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, or Spotify. Hope everyone has a great sort of week ahead of them. Got through Monday. That's huge. Yeah. Oh, and as we are wrapping up the podcast, USA scores. And they make it 2-3.
Hey, there's still a chance.
There is a chance. Oh, just kidding. They missed it. I'm bad at this live commentating thing. All right, all. Have a good one.